Allow me to paint you a picture. It's the night before Warped Tour 2015. The existential dread that normally accompanies adolescence has been momentarily displaced by a youthful excitement that you haven't felt since Christmas 2007. You know, when your parents were still together before the housing market went to sleep was absolutely out of the question, but who could blame you? In 5 short hours, you and your best friends would tease your heat-damaged hair, slap on some eyeliner that you'd probably sweat off by noon, and make your way down to a huge outdoor venue, at which you'd get to see and likely meet most of your favorite bands. Tomorrow's legendary lineup included, but was not limited to, Bless the Fall, Ask Me Alexandria, Pierce the Veil.
Always fucking stoked, man. It's a Warped Tour.
Sleeping with Sirens, Hands Like Houses, Neck Deep, and so many more iconic alternative legends, including Beartooth. I could go on about that year's lineup, but I digress. Much more than just a beloved annual widespread festival, Warped Tour was a force for a huge variety of alternative folks to rally around.
This is a whole bunch of people choosing to be in one place at one time to create something special. Between the music, something exists in the air.
It was the glue that held the scene together, and having said that, I think that Warped Tour's discontinuation has been the biggest driving factor in the scene's overall rapid dissipation. Let's talk about it. What's good? I'm Kinetic Kel. I appreciate you so much for tuning into my first video essay. First and foremost, I cannot extend big enough thank yous to both the band's Warped Tour creator himself, Kevin Lyman.
Shout out to Kevin Lyman for having the best fucking tour ever made.
As well as content creator and metalcore enthusiast, Rina for sharing their insights with me on this video. If you like alternative topics like this one, consider subscribing. Without further ado, what happened to this scene? In the context of the alternative music scene, of course, communities formed through concerts, festivals, and grassroots initiatives. As people connect and interact, of course, bonds are strengthened, which leads to this sense of camaraderie and belonging.
Thank you so much for taking time to speak with us today. We super duper appreciate it.
See shows at Soma?
All the time. That's how we met, actually. Waiting for us to do a siren show. But Warped Tour will, you know, kind of be memorialized as one of the rallying cries that kind of kept the scene together. What was your primary inspiration behind the cultivation of it?
Well, I worked in the music scene of LA for 12 to 13 years before I started Warped Tour.
I do it forever. $20 and a carton of cigarettes.
I was running 320 shows a year around Los Angeles. So everywhere from the Roxy, Whiskey, the Palladium.
That's what I do for a living. I went to college for 5 years to do this shit. I love rock and roll.
Numerous clubs that no longer exist and maybe be immortalized in old documentaries and things that come out once in a while. I was stage managing Lollapalooza. And then I was like, oh, you know what? We're doing this in California where we had skateboarding, action sports culture, and we're doing a lot of charity events where we had board aid, boarding for breast cancer, where we're actually doing activism and we were mixing in action sports and music. And I thought, well, you know, maybe I should go do something on my own.
This is my heart and soul. You know, it warms my heart and soul.
Tour played a pivotal role in nurturing this community for over 2 decades, and its discontinuation in 2019 marked a significant loss for the alternative community, as we no longer have this crucial platform for artists, fans, and even industry professionals to connect, converge, and celebrate that camaraderie.
What kind of point did you realize that it was going to make such a huge imperative mark on alternative culture?
I really didn't.
Back in 1995, and 2,000 people showed up. So it's kind of grown.
You know, the people that worked on it was such a great group of people that worked with me that would go out and work on other tours and do things year round, but we always gathered each summer and everyone contributed what they could. People would bring me an idea and I would say, okay, let's give it a shot. You know, we gave people chances, you know, going back to the early days when MySpace couldn't afford a table.
Do this, do that. Don't forget to take your medicine. I hate it when the faces.
We'd only charge $100 for a table and they didn't have the money. But I said, hey, looks like you're trying to do something to help this community. We'll let you there. If I didn't feel like it was detrimental to the community or preaching hate or anything like that, I would give people a chance.
Context time. Okay, what do Austin Carlisle, formerly of Mice and Men, and Rina have in common? Besides super dope tattoos. A connective tissue disorder. Just thought a little context was important before this story. Okay, bye. What did Warped Tour mean to you, and what are your favorite memories from attending?
Warped Tour meant like everything to me. It was the one time I was like super happy and excited to be alive. When I was growing up, nope, this is too dark, I can't do this. Some of my favorite memories were the first time I crowd surfed. ever was at Warped Tour. I broke my wrist, and I remember like running back to my friends and my wrist was completely broken. Or maybe it was my elbow. I think it was my elbow. My elbow was broken and like the bone like completely like sticking out. I was like, oh my god, I broke my elbow, I'm gonna go again. And then I crowd surfed all day. And also just getting to meet bands like so casually, have actual conversations with them.
Big meet and greet opportunity.
Yeah, you just had to like schedule it out, like what time the band would be at their booth, and then go and meet them. And I honestly even loved like the chaos of planning my day out. Like the
like a notepad with the
sharp. I would spend the $3 and get like the schedule and then like circle all of the bands that I was going to see that day. I loved that. Like I have all of my schedules. Like I kept them all.
Without it, I think the scene has struggled to maintain a lot of cohesion and vitality, which only makes sense. I mean, we lost our primary gathering point and cultural touchstone. So along with harboring cultural significance and notoriety, a festival does have to commence annually for at least 25 years to be considered for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Having said that, when Kevin Lyman announced that 2018 would be the last nationwide, wink wink, Warped Tour, of course, devastation was the first thing that hit us, but we were pretty confident that it would exist in some capacity next year because 2019 would bring Warped Tour to that mandatory 25-year runtime. I think one of the biggest reasons that this year had such a crazy turnout was because that so many people were equipped with the knowledge that this was a rapidly fleeting opportunity. And there's no denying that Warped Tour has been a cultural, iconic staple of the summertime. On that summer 2018 evening, as we watched the sunset over the scorching pavement, adorned with well-traveled, breakdownable stages, we couldn't help but be a little bit somber at the end of an era. So 2019, the main introduced us to a little festival called Sad Summer. Edgy title, I know. Which boasted an impressive 14 dates. For some pop punk devotees like myself, Sad Summer was a glimmer of optimism amidst a rapidly crumbling scene. For others, however, it was a new school pop punk show with no heavier artists to complement the admittedly more pop side of pop punk centered lineup. I think accessibility to community, especially around the music that unifies it, is key to keeping it alive. The successors to the iconic band's Warped Tour have struggled to maintain the same musical diversity that made it a cultural phenomenon in the first place. Warped Tour had a huge range of subgenres, all the way from punk rock, ska, metal, metalcore, post-hardcore, emo, and even classic artists that my mom was excited to still be playing shows, like The Police, Save Ferris. In contrast to the broad audience appeal that spanned generationally as a result, many of its successors have fallen short in terms of musical variety and innovation. Warped Tour's success lay, although not exclusively in its ability to draw in a diverse audience with eclectic tastes, offering something for pretty much everyone within the realm of alternative music. Sad Summer and its counterparts, however, often focus too narrowly on specific subgenres, which both limits their appeal and fails to capture the dynamic spirit that will memorialize Warped Tour's legendary status. Consequently, these festivals come off as short-sighted and failing to lack the creative edge that once defined the alternative music scene. Without the colorful, ever-changing tapestry that a Warped Tour lineup provided, the successors struggled to draw in a sizable audience and make a mark on the contemporary music landscape. But Sad Summer has a very important drawback in common with all of the up-and-coming successors. Even though it has the advantage of boasting an impressive number of dates compared to the competition, Sad Summer is not alone in its failure to come anywhere close to filling Warped Tour's huge shoes in regards to financial accessibility, prioritizing its attendees, and acting in good faith. Something that's impossible to ignore and rub me the wrong way right off the bat is the pay-to-play factor involved. Anywhere from $120 to $300, there was a VIP package that, I kid you not, includes the following tempting perks. Early access, which like I said, the crowd was so sparse it would barely make a difference. A special little viewing area with your own cash bar. That's right, instead of waiting behind 5 people for an $18 beer, you can wait behind 2 people. A laminate and, oh wait, that's it. Kid you not, that's gonna be about 3 times more than the original ticket. Redditor Cole Not Phil echoed the sentiment the entire community was feeling as we watched the festival landscape crumble before us. He explained that Sad Summerfest had nearly doubled in price from the previous year, exhibiting a staggering 122% increase. He attributed this abhorrent inflation to Journey's takeover of the festival and implores, "This greed by Live Nation needs to stop." Despite the apprehension beginning to brew in all of us, a festival was soon announced that you simply couldn't pass on. I'm talking, we haven't seen a festival this stacked since Warped Tour 2015, with an important rare addition, My Chemical Romance. In addition to Pierce the Veil, Paramore, Taking Back Sunday, A Day to Remember, Silverstein, Bring Me the Horizon, Senses Fail, The Used, The Story So Far, Hawthorne Heights. So not only did we have this pent-up COVID energy, like we would do anything to go see a show, it also was just an insane group of fans. Like I got a little pit in my stomach when I was doing research reminiscing about the lineup. Like it was crazy. It was in Vegas, and I, like many others, had taken my first vacation in 2 years to be in attendance that weekend. I spent basically an entire paycheck to secure tickets for both days. And side note, but me and both my friends had been in line to get pre-sale tickets online. None of us got it. That's not suspicious. We ended up getting our tickets from scalpers for like $400 to $600 a piece. So I lived frugally for literally months to ensure that I would have a comfortable trip, and the first day was canceled due to bad weather. I promise I won't get too far into this, but since the lineup was supposed to be identical day 1 to day 2, a lot of people only got tickets for the first day, so devastation ensued. One of those people who only got tickets for day 1 was Rina. Well, I know there's been quite a few successors to the festival. How has your overall experience been with that?
I've had a really shitty luck. I think I'm just cursed.
It's not just you, I swear.
I had tickets for the first year when we were young for the first day, drove overnight to get to Vegas, and I was in line when I found out it was canceled, and then had to drive back in a windstorm.
But it's okay because you had Blue Ridge coming up, right?
Yeah, and then I had Blue Ridge coming up. This was my first time having like media access because I do content. I was there to film the festival. I flew across the country for this one. I flew to New York and then I road tripped with my friends from TikTok, which was super fun. Like I loved getting to know my friends, and that was the highlight of my entire experience, was getting to meet all of my friends. But I was camping and my campsite got destroyed, and then the actual music, like it ended up 3 of the days got canceled, or like 2.5 of the days got canceled because of weather and safety reasons. The weather was awful, but I flew across the country. I spent thousands of dollars on plane tickets and places to stay. I had to take off work. Even though I didn't have to pay for my ticket for the festival, I still was out a lot of money, and a lot of people were out a lot more money than me, and I have a lot of empathy for that. It's crazy the amount of work that we put in to go to these festivals now that are just this one-time thing you get to go to. There's so much pressure on it being perfect. You took time off of work, or you quit your job, or you spent thousands of dollars on it, and then if it's not perfect, it's heartbreaking.
What helped ease the blow and was actually cool about that first day is that a ton of bands were sympathetic to the devastation and displacement felt by the masses of people in town, and a ton of them started doing little shows at bars and venues in town. I actually had the privilege of seeing Law Dispute, Mom Jeans, and the Wonder Years at a little dive bar, which is an experience I'm so grateful for and will never forget. However, since there were a ton of people in town, as you can imagine, these venues hit max capacity pretty quickly, so a ton of people were still left standing on the outside, which absolutely broke my heart. So luckily, I had tickets for both days, which, like I said, a ton of people didn't, and I remember at that dive bar show, everyone and their mom was asking me if I had tickets for tomorrow. People offered me hundreds to thousands of dollars for them. I had one gentleman offer me $4,000. I really did contemplate for a second, because if it got canceled today, what would stop it from getting canceled tomorrow? If it does get canceled tomorrow, I'm gonna feel like the biggest idiot in the world for not taking this. Like, maybe I could recoup some of my losses, but I'd be so mad at myself for selling out this chance to see a once-in-a-lifetime lineup after coming all this way and investing all this money. Ultimately, I held on to my ticket, and thank God, because it did end up happening.
Most of these people producing these festivals, they just look at it as a place to make money. You know, it's, yeah. I think you mentioned a cash grab. You know, but you look at it, will they be around much longer? Will When We Were Young be around much longer?
Funny enough about When We Were Young, the first year, so we had actually both gone. Yeah. She had tickets for the first day, and I had both. And then, of course, mayhem erupted the first day because it doesn't have the accessibility financially or proximity-wise. But after you put in all this time and energy, the letdown is huge.
Yeah, I do my charity event in Vegas that Friday night before. I do it at Brooklyn Bowl. We've done it the past 2 years. We've raised money for Music Cares, and it's the Strange 80s show. So we've done it at Brooklyn Bowl the nights before. And I remember seeing all the kids out by the gate. I went and talked to a lot of them, sitting outside the fence, just trying to listen. It was the emo Trail of Tears.
I thought it was a joke when people were like, oh, it's not happening. And I ended up just bawling my eyes out. You can't just go to a festival anymore and have it be a part of your schedule. You have to take time off of work to plan your travel. It's not just, oh, $50 for a concert ticket. It's $1,000 for plane tickets, for a hotel, for places to stay. It's not the same.
But it was a bigger production. It was this whole thing, and it was windy. They had to cancel it because it was such a big monstrosity of a show. It would have been very dangerous. You look at it this year, the first year they did 3 days. Last year they did 2 days. This year, the second day hasn't sold out yet. People are, it's very expensive, like you said, to go to that. Now the ticket price is over $400 for one day.
And you're probably paying more because they sell out instantly, and then you got to buy them from scalpers.
They haven't sold out this year. They haven't sold out that second show.
All right, and we're for sure moving into the opinion zone, but it's not worth the money. Don't do it. Don't get me wrong. It was an honor and a privilege to see all of these bands in one lineup, but I'm being legitimately serious when you would have probably just as good as a view if you invested in a really good speaker and watched the performance on your phone. One thing that Kevin said that really stuck with me is,
you guys love the music so much, and you were so passionate about it, and you were so passionate about the bands that you could be taken advantage of.
And it's true. Warped Tour was never about taking your last $100 to make something happen that really wasn't in the budget. It was about fostering a community and giving opportunities to both people to meet their heroes and for up-and-coming bands to get off the ground. Warped Tour didn't just promote community and morality through an abundance of philanthropic activism. It cared for its community members in a way that no other festival ever has.
Something that me and Kelly had been talking about that we really appreciated about Warped Tour as a festival was how much of it was charity based too. Like how to get in early you would donate cans, like you'd bring, like I remember like taking all of the cans and bringing them to get in early.
Blood for backstage.
Yeah, like everything had a greater purpose than just like, here, pay $100 and you can get in before everybody else.
It looked after its community, like parents literally got in free. You could also sign up on the website to donate blood and get backstage for some of your favorite bands. Additionally, right when gates would open, each band would have like a meet and greet opportunity, and you prioritize which are most important to you, and then you sprint around to get those wristbands, and everyone gets an equal opportunity. If you participated in the food drive, then you would get to skip the line, meaning that if you and your friends showed up at 6 a.m. with canned vegetables, you would be the first in line, not that asshole that paid $400 more to sit in VIP on his phone the whole show.
90% of what we did with Warped Tour wasn't driven by money.
We were gonna ask, you know, was that like a profitable margin? Like, what did that even look like?
It was really built on community. That's what Warped Tour was, you know. Community that I grew up in and tried to extend in, and extended over 25 years. It was fiscally responsible because you were managing a $12 million budget to make that tour work. I made a nice living on it, but I was also producing many shows throughout the year that were maybe a little more like, oh, I'm doing this for another scene. When I had the Mayhem Festival or something like that, that were more like, okay, this is a business, where Warped Tour was really, you know, I had to be fiscally responsible, but the margins were very thin, and that's why you don't see anyone doing a tour like that. Until maybe this summer, there might be a little thing. Keep an ear out for something called Summer School.
Super duper exciting.
The biggest difference that I've noticed as like having grown up in the scene was Warped Tour was such a community. Like I remember like seeing all my friends there, being able to just like wait in line and meet bands. It always felt like home. I felt at peace, and it's just not the same like sense of community anywhere that I've gone since then.
I mean, you know, it might be down the road. We've got a 30th anniversary coming up. We'll see. The reason it takes it to work, it takes everyone doing their part to make these things work. And if you're going to charge that much for a ticket, people are going to want to get paid a lot to come and play. I think it's changing right now because the festivals aren't selling as well as they did because the price got too much. And out of the pandemic, everyone had this excess money, pent up demand. They hadn't been to shows in 2 years. Now, you know, it's like people have been to shows and they're going to start being a little more picky.
Absolutely, especially when it's a huge investment like that.
One question, actually. Would you be opposed to somebody else taking over Warped Tour, like doing a similar thing?
Yes, because if it was Live Nation or AEG or something, all of a sudden that ticket price would have been $200. They would have exploited. I don't want to, but you guys love the music so much, and you were so passionate about it, and you were so passionate about the bands that you could be taken advantage of. Yeah. I could have taken advantage of you, and I didn't. I feel like we delivered a show, and I was approached. I was offered millions of dollars to sell the Warp name, but they'll destroy it in a year.
Yeah, they say you either, you know, live the hero or die long enough or whatever.
How insightful. I think what I was trying to say is you either die the hero or live long enough to become the villain. And I think that's never rang more true.
Warped Tour provided opportunities for a huge variety of people from different backgrounds to immerse themselves in alternative culture. It didn't permit the price gouging of better festival experiences or opportunities.
I think that's like the best call you could have made. And I live and breathe Warped Tour. Like, I had so much going on growing up that was like the one thing I was always excited for. And it broke my heart when it ended, but hearing you talk about it, why you didn't pass it on to someone else, as someone who now has struggled financially, I have so much respect for like wanting to do it and keep the integrity of the name. Like as an adult now looking back, I'm like, that was a really good call.
Keep an ear out. It'll probably be in the next few weeks. I'm not going to say too much about it, but it's going to be like we started Warped Tour in 1995. So nice talking to you both, okay?
Nice to meet you. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Take care. Be safe.
It seems like the scene collectively has been left with a Warped Tour size hole in our hearts. Like Warped Tour for me, and I'm sure many of y'all, is a specific moment in much simpler times.
I think it would be naive to ignore that nostalgia plays a big factor in our idolization of Warped Tour. However, as I argued earlier, I think that the alternative community or the scene is formed through festivals, grassroots initiatives, and these blatant observable factors that the successors have ignored have, in my opinion, been the biggest driving factors that led to the deterioration of the scene. This is kind of a nuanced topic, so I don't really know where to end it. This is just my opinion, of course, but what do you guys think? Please let me know in the comments. Again, biggest thank yous to my guests Rina Robin and Kevin Lyman. And the biggest thank you to you for tuning into my first video essay. Consider subscribing if you liked it. I plan on making more, and I had a lot of fun making it. Also, I hate to start our relationship off with lies, so this is just a chintzy microphone I got at the dollar store to make myself look a little bit more official. I hope it worked. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye!